Hey everyone, I'm Connor and welcome to my channel, The Closet. If it's your first time here on my channel, I like to talk about all things luxury. So if that's something you're into, I would love it if you could hit the subscribe button and the bell button so you're notified when I bring out new videos. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about things you should take note of when looking to sell something pre-loved, or in some instances, maybe something you should be thinking about when you're deciding to buy something pre-loved. Now, this idea came from the fabulous Dale from Dale's Addiction, because I was doing my weekly, I don't know what to do a video on, and then she gives me all these ideas, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that, and she's just like, oh my God, Connor, I'm not the Wizard of Oz, I can't just give you all these ideas. And I was like, no, Dale, you can, she'll ditch me one day, but until then, I'm gonna milk her for everything she's worth. Basically, Dale kind of said, why don't you do a video on this? And I was like, that's a great idea, and here is said video. But basically, if you're unaware, I run a consignment business called Conrad's Closet, where I sell and consign designer pre-loved items. And the premise of this video is coming from the perspective of a consigner, but also coming from the perspective of somebody who sells their own luxury goods as well. And just because I have my own business, I still am, having to follow the same sort of market rules, I guess, or market norms that you, as somebody who does not have a consignment business, would still have to follow. So I thought I came up, with a list of things that were quite common, and thinking that this video might give you that perspective or that insight that maybe you might not necessarily have. And this, of course, is no disrespect to anyone who shops pre-loved or has looked at consigning items. This is more to help people so they have that understanding. And to be honest, I actually am quite lucky with my business that the majority of people that do consign with me are absolutely amazing, and I've made a lot of friends consigning bags, and I appreciate all of the people that do support my business through consignment and through other ways. So this obviously is not a dig or a slide at anyone. It is just letting you all know, knowledge is power. Let's do it. So first up is the condition, and I think that when you have a bag that you're looking to sell, you always kind of look at it with rose-colored glasses. I know I do, and you do miss key things that obviously a fresh set of eyes, especially somebody who would be potentially consigning your bag for you, will pick up on straight away. And this is things like corner wear, major kind of hardware scratches where it's not just the scuff or hairlines, as we refer to them, hairline scratches from just opening and closing hardware, or things where there's color transfer, or there's serial stickers missing, or they're kind of not fully intact. Heat stamps, which is like the made in France, or they also call them foil stamps, the made in stamp, those kinds of things that you, as somebody who just has a designer bag and you're just looking to move it on, you might not be aware of those things and how they can significantly reduce the cost of selling your bag. You might have a small classic flap in caviar that is in what you perceive as immaculate condition, but when a consigner looks at it, the Chanel foil stamp on the inside is faded, the authenticity card is missing, it just comes with the dust bag, there is wear from the chain on the bag where the strap meets. All of those kinds of things really do come into account when you're looking at pre-love selling, and you may think that it's something very small, but for the majority of people who are looking at purchasing said bag pre-loved, they're really big deal breakers. So this isn't saying don't sell your bag if there's wear, but it's to be more realistic with what you could expect to get back because of such wear. It may not be a deal breaker for you, and it may not be something you consider wear just in general, but when a consigner looks at it, this is definitely something that creates the full picture of what you would expect to receive back. Next would be the mindset. Now this is something that lots of us who purchase luxury goods use to justify purchases, and you'll hear this word a million, 1,000, 50 billion times over and again. It's an investment. Now, investment obviously can mean a lot of different things for a lot of people, and I think people generally, when they speak of buying luxury bags as an investment, is I know this bag will go up in retail value, so therefore I can buy this bag at X price, and then if I ever need to sell it in X amount of years later, because the retail of the price of the bag will be going up, I'll be able to sell it and break even or make a profit or whatever. With the exception of a few caveats, that is incorrect. And what I think people actually mean is with the word investment and luxury goods, or more when I do hear it used correctly with an explanation, is it's an investment because you're investing in it personally for yourself. Meaning if you're buying a $6,000 bag, you're spending $6,000 of your own money and you're going to get the opportunity cost or the value of that $6,000 for yourself. If you buy a bag that you're like, perfect, this $6,000 bag, it's going to work for when I go out for dinner, I can use it for work every now and then, I can use it when I'm traveling, it'll be great for that, blah, blah, blah. And because it's $6,000, I'm assuming, making the assumption that the quality will match the price point, therefore I will have this bag for 6 years. So you get $1,000 of wear out of it in a year, you've got it for 6 years, blah, 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 so forth. So therefore, you're justifying that purchase by saying it's an investment because you're going to get the amount of use out of it that you would associate the monetary value towards the bag. That I agree with. I do agree with that, and there are hundreds of examples, especially if you're looking at like Louis Vuitton bags in canvas where people have had them for 30 years. Yeah, they've got the vachetta changed and all of that stuff, but the actual structural integrity of the bag and the canvas, that's withstood that time period. That's what I would refer to luxury bags as an investment, because you're getting that. When it comes to the actual investment portion where they think that they can, you know, have the bag for 6 years because the retail's gone up, that's a whole nother story, and I'm going to get into that now. So as I just mentioned before, the investment term is really, I've written down notes because I wanted to make sure I articulated it correctly, but this is something as a consignor, or even I just see people talk about on YouTube and stuff when they purchase luxury bags, is they say, I want to get back what I paid for the bag. And this, of course, is, you know, a fair thing to say because you're purchasing a luxury item, but something to take into account is in any other kind of industry, whether you're talking about furniture, whether you're talking about electronics, whether you're talking about cars, of course, there's always going to be very monopolized caveats to that. But generally, when would you ever expect to get back what you paid for something for another item when you've either, it hasn't worked out for you, you want to sell it, you've used it for a few years and you just want to move it on, you want to get something else or you want to replace that bag with. Very rarely do you ever hear of somebody being able to sell something, especially when it's been used, and getting back their money, if not a profit. So I think people mistakenly associate luxury goods with being able to make a profit or get back what you paid for it, because I have no idea. Because of course the retail is more, the retail price that when it goes up with the price increases, I think because it's so publicly, you know, shared and the prices and everything like that is so well known, I think there's that association with the retail going up, meaning blah, blah, blah. So I've written down some things that I would suggest thinking about when looking to sell something pre-loved and you have that number set in your head of, I want to get back what I paid for it. This is probably what I would do to manage expectations. The first one is, why is this bag worth purchasing secondhand? Essentially, regardless of the condition of the bag, you are selling it secondhand or getting a consignor to sell it for you secondhand. So for somebody to want to go and purchase that, there has to be a criteria, there has to be a value to them to obviously mitigate the risk of buying it through a consignor. Of course, when you buy through a reputable consignor, the risk is incredibly low. But if you have the option of purchasing a bag from the boutique or purchasing it pre-loved at relatively the same price, there's got to be a value to the customer for purchasing it secondhand. So I'll get into the caveats to that in a minute, but so the first one was, why is the bag worth purchasing secondhand? Secondly, what is the bag coming with? What are the inclusions? Why is this bag more special than somebody else selling one? Does it come with a full set? Does it come with the box? Does it come with the ribbon, the receipt, the authenticity card, all of that stuff? Second one is, of course, the condition. What condition is this bag in? Is it worth purchasing secondhand? Is the wear minimal? Blah, 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 blah. The combo, I mentioned that just before with the inclusions. Oh no, sorry, the combo. So is the combo that this bag comes in coveted? Is it black with gold hardware? Is it, you know, rainbow? You know, is the hardware a limited edition? Did this bag, you know, all of those things that would make something more coveted or more, you know, justifiable to sell secondhand. Does your bag have that? Or is your bag something that anybody can find? Is that combo readily available? All of those things. And last, the covetedness. Is it a Birkin? Is it something that is readily available? Is it something that only VIPs were able to purchase from Chanel? Stuff like that. So definitely think about all of that. Next is market value. Now, while you may be thinking, oh yeah, this bag, I see it every now and then, everybody wants it, I want to get my money back for it, blah, 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 blah. The thing to take into consideration is market value, and also how market value actually changes depending on your country. For example, what in Australia we would be able to get for a Chanel bag, in America, it could be significantly higher, it could be significantly less. Asia, Europe, we all have different markets, we all have different preferences. So your, like Birkin 35 in America or in Europe might be incredibly popular, whilst in Australia and Asia, it's not the preferred size. So you're not going to get the same market value. With that, one thing I've written that always does come up a lot when people say, I want to sell a bag, I want to get this price for it, blah, blah, blah. And I say, hey, totally get that you want to kind of get this sort of price for it. Unfortunately, it doesn't align with what market value is. And then I'll be sent screenshots from First Dibs or eBay in the US or even eBay in Australia when what they're wanting to get back, such price on eBay, etc., is a lot higher. My point to that is, on those websites, people can put whatever price they like. And if you're seeing that bag available at such a high price, there's a reason it has not sold. There's a reason why it's on eBay. There's lots of different factors to come into it. So market price really isn't what you see on First Dibs and eBay. It's what other resellers are selling things for. It's what people are selling on like Facebook pages or marketplaces when it's, obviously not a dodgy sale. And it's what the general kind of status quo is with the price for bags. You may know of certain things that you may not necessarily see being sold, but you know that people are wanting, mini rectangulars in caviar leather. You know that that's always going to be something that is above market value. Or you might, on the flip side, have one in lambskin that's in like a corally color, and that isn't comparable to something that is black with gold hardware, etc. So understanding market value or listening to somebody who knows about market value, so a consigner or even people on YouTube, they generally do have a vague idea They do generally have a switched on idea with what market value is roughly, but if a consigner or multiple consigners are all selling bags for around the same price, generally you're not going to get what the prices you have in your mind just because you think so or because you've seen it on eBay or whatnot. So that's definitely a good point. Go to where other people are selling to make up your mind, or see what the value of an item would be. And secondly to that, you might have bought a bag when it was at the peak of its prime. It might have been highly in demand. It might have been ultra coveted, and you bought it at the ultimate premium, top of the market price, and then 6 months later, you might want to move on that bag. What you paid for it doesn't mean that's what the bag is worth, unfortunately, and sometimes these things just work out that way. So going in with that mindset like, well, I paid this price, that's what the bag is worth, so I'm going to get that money back, or even a little bit less than that, but still pretty close to it. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works. And yeah, it can be a bitter pill to swallow, knowing that you overpaid for something, or the price, I guess, was the appropriate amount at the time, but it's not that anymore. And I totally get that that can be not fun, but you do need to be realistic with these things, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. That's just how the lambskin lambs. That was terrible, but you know what I mean. And lastly, I put, why do some items hold value and others don't? And I've broken it down into a few factors as to why. So just in case you're not familiar, or it might be more of an insight into why your bag won't sell, or why such brand isn't getting as much compared to the retail, this is what I've kind of come up with. First of all is the availability. If items are more coveted, if there's limited production, if the combo that your item is produced in, all of those things come into practice. If the supply is low, then the demand is going to be high. Therefore, you're going to be able to sell your luxury item for a price point that is going to get you back what you paid for, or more of a profit. That comes into play. Second is the influence. Why is this item coveted? Are there celebrities wearing it? Are there influencers talking about it? Is it the it bag? Is it something that you desperately want and the supply is low? Third is the perception. That's a very important one, and I think a lot of people, this is where they buy into the hype, or they purchase bags because they think that they needed it because of the perception. You must start your luxury collection with, you know, a Chanel Jumbo or a Chanel Classic Flap. You must buy a Birkin because it's just the holy grail bag. It's the ultimate collector's bag. You know, X, Y, and Z. You've got to have one piece of monogram in your collection. You know, all these kind of rules which, given there are the opinions of people, but you can buy into that. But it does create this perception of a demand, and then it can also lead to a supply and demand issue as well. So look at the source, look at why that person might be saying that, and that's what can influence the price of a brand. Secondly is the price. If an item is more so low supply but the price point is quite high, we saw this with like the mini pochette accessoire back in the day, and by back in the day I mean like 2 years ago when they were like 500 Australian dollars. Now they're over 1,000 Australian dollars. Those bad boys, you could buy them and flip them and triple your money. Like now, not triple your money, but you know what I mean. You can make a profit. But now, because they're so high in price, that's affected the resale value. They're readily available on the Louis Vuitton website in Australia now, and people aren't buying them because they're so expensive. If the retail price is high and they're readily available, people aren't going to want to buy your pre-loved bag for such price or close to it. Next is the quality. Does this brand have a reputation for the quality exceeding the price point, or an equilibrium between the two? Is the quality renowned? Does the brand uphold what the quality does for it? You know, say for example, if it's a work bag or a tote bag where you would traditionally wear it for traveling or work, does the quality for such materials of the bag meet the price point? Does it meet the brand standards? All of those things. And last is brand equity. Now I know people don't like talking about luxury tiers. You know, some people say Hermes is at the top, Chanel's below it. Some people say that Louis Vuitton is mid-range. Some people say Louis Vuitton is high range. All of those things come into play. But you can't ignore the fact that there is an overall perception that certain brands hold rank when it comes to quality. And therefore, you might have a Hermes Evelyn which would sell for a higher price than a Chanel mini rectangle lambskin, because there's this perception that, oh, Hermes is higher, so therefore the price point is going to be more justified, blah, blah, blah. Or on the flip side, you might have a bag that is a lot more expensive than an Hermes bag that gets sold at half or a third of the retail price, versus something that is a little bit more basic in construction, I guess, like an Hermes bag that gets more money than it. So you can argue about it, or you can say it's not right or whatnot, but the brand equity really does come into play as well. All in all, basically, when you go and purchase a luxury item, I think if you go in with the intention that, oh, at some point I'll be able to sell this bag and get all my money back, or I'll be able to make a profit or whatnot, I think that's kind of the wrong idea. Dale says it perfectly in her videos. Once I buy the bag and I've spent the money's gone, and then anything I'm able to recoup if I ever do choose to sell is just more money that I've gotten back. Obviously, they're still a luxury good, and in your head you do consider, okay, I've got these few bags, if I had to sell them, they're worth at least $2,000 or $4,000 or whatnot. Of course, that's natural to have that general idea, but going in with the expectation of I'm going to get back what I got for it, for most cases, I think it's kind of the wrong attitude. I kind of think of it like, it'd be like going to gamble and going to the casino and thinking, as long as I can go into the casino and gamble my money and get back what I have spent or make a profit, then I'm happy gambling. And it's kind of the same principle. So yeah, I hope this video wasn't just, I don't know what it's going to look like when I edit it. I hope it all kind of works. But I thought I would just give my insight, give my little perspective, and maybe this might help you when purchasing luxury goods. Maybe it might change your attitude. Maybe it might give you a different perception. But all in all, thank you, Dale, for giving me this recommendation for doing this video. And if you have not liked this video with the thumbs up, please do so if you actually like the video. Pop some comments down, and if you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you could do so. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in my next video.